We can embed 3D view of the house directly into the Voiceflow chatbot. So let me just maximize this view. So this is what your clients can see, or the real estate clients. So we can click this circle to walk around the house. We can also visit photos, watch video of the house, see details, see it on the Google map, change it to maybe this map. So this is amazing chatbot feature that we are going to implement in this course. In this chatbot, I can say, I would like to buy a house in Killa, Montana with 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom and below 700,000 USD. This is a description to help the user, and it's gonna find this property by this description. And then I can say, watch 3D house tour video, view on Google Maps, for example. And it will show us Google Maps directly in the chat, so I can click this, I can scroll. These are actually working Google Maps. If I click watch 3D house video tutorial, it will embed directly in our chatbot, and so we can watch this. I will just show you. So we can play any YouTube video in our chatbot as well. This video is released for free on YouTube as a free trial for my copy-paste AI agency course, where we will use make.com and Voiceflow to create any possible AI automation or chatbot you can imagine. And right now it's only $19, and I will increase the price soon as I keep adding more modules. But if you buy now, you will get those extra modules for free. We will get listings from Zillow.com. The best way to get these listings is not from Zillow, but go to a website called Bright Data. So scroll down past these ads and click on Bright Data. This is a service that lets you scrape data. So just sign in. Once you log in, we're gonna go down here to Web Data, and we will say Zillow, and we will click this one, Zillow properties listing information, Zillow.com. And you will wait. There will be 30 sample listings. Now we just need those 30 sample listings, but let's filter this data a bit. So you see here home status, sold. We don't want these that are sold. So let's say filter. And then I'm gonna say where home status is, and then for sale. And let's add another filter. So right now I'm gonna show virtual tours for each home through a YouTube video. So when so here's what I'm gonna do: end virtual tour URL. I'm gonna say includes youtube.be, and then I'm gonna just create subset, because I wanna so if you wanna show iGuides, I will show you how to show iGuide virtual as well. So we can just say here iGuide instead of YouTube, and then create subset. So you will choose one, but let me show you what YouTube looks like. So let me just click any of these, and then I will scroll. So if I copy the virtual tour URL, YouTube URL for this first one, I'm gonna get this video that's gonna show. I don't wanna play too much. So I can click this to close, or I don't have to. I will just say download sample here. So it will download these 30 listings. Now, if you want to use iGuide instead of YouTube link, then you would just it's gonna be the same. You're gonna just have in virtual tour URL, you're gonna have the iGuide link, not the YouTube link. But if you are trying to advertise iGuide to real estate agents, just keep in mind that for each property they are listing and that you want to have iGuide for, you need to manually make the iGuide environment for each one. And it's a lot easier to just go through the house and then record everything. And there is literally not much difference from video recording and then from iGuide virtual environment. And maybe it's even easier. Video recording is just being watched, while iGuide you need to still be a bit technical. Maybe older people will not be able to go through the virtual environment and then navigate. So that's why I'm using just YouTube videos. Now let's go to airtable.com and then just make an account. This is our database, and I'm gonna say quickly upload, and this is CSV, comma separated values file, and we will browse. And the latest thing that we downloaded, the Zillow properties listing information. Let's click this. If you get this weird pop-up, just exit this one if there is nothing, and then below that there is this that you need to upload. So let's upload. Once it uploads, you're gonna get this kind of preview. So I'm just gonna say import. We're gonna have all of the properties here. Now let me just do some renaming. So first I'm gonna rename this file to property list, like that. And then this table, it's called imported table, but I'm gonna rename it also to, let's say, properties. Save. Then we will go here to Voiceflow. We will log in. We will create a new agent. I will name it Real Estate AAA, modality chat, and language English, and continue. And we will just create agent. Let's first connect Airtable to Voiceflow. So I will hold Shift and select all of this on my screen, and I will just delete. Then I will go here. I will pull this, and I'm gonna say logic set, and then variables to set, click plus, and select a variable. I'm gonna say Airtable underscore base URL, and I'm gonna say add this variable to create it, and create variable. Let's go back to Airtable, and here click on your profile icon to the right, and then down here Developer Hub. Let's create a new token, and I'm gonna say Real Estate AAA Voiceflow connection. And scopes, we will just have data.records read. So we can just read data from this Airtable. We cannot edit it or modify. And then access, add base, and we will choose the base that we just created, and then create token. So you will copy this token, and then you will save it somewhere. Let me put it here. Then just press OK, and then go here to the left, developer docs, and we will scroll down to web API. So you need to find this web API, just Airflow API reference, and I'm gonna scroll down and select the database. It's gonna be this one, property list that we just created. And then let's click here to authentication. You can also find all of this by just googling Airtable API and clicking here introduction, and then select your database property list, and then you're gonna get the same. So authentication, so you need this URL. So it says this CURL, but after that this URL, copy this URL, go back to Voiceflow, and where you are setting this variable, let's set this, but you need to make quotes. So first open quote, set the URL, close quote. And this properties, this is the name of your table. So let's go back to see what it is. So airtable.com, and then property list. So this is the name of this table properties here, not the property list name of the base, but of the table properties. So you need to put the name of the table here, but it will already exist. And then I will let me copy this, because there are some bugs. So if I click somewhere else, or if I click to the side, it's not going to be set. But I'm going to go here again and then paste this, and this should be set. So you need to paste it 2 times. Make sure there are quotes. So after you set the base URL for the table, we need to add some query to the URL. So there is a base URL, and then I will show you there is question mark, and then continue the URL with like city, Buffalo, state, California. So we're gonna continue the building of the URL. So I'm gonna say here talk, send text. So now we need to ask the user, please describe which properties do you want to see. Only city is required. Price and bedrooms and other stuff are optional. So these are cities. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my Airtable here. I'm gonna see which cities and states I have, for example, and then I'm gonna list these are available cities. If you want, just to help the user, or you can design this in any other way. Maybe you have so many cities and stuff. Maybe you have cities only in California. So you say we have cities only in California. So I have more than these 4 cities, but I'm just showing you that maybe you wanna put it something like this here. So example for the user, I'm looking for a property in Buffalo, New York, or I want a place in Miami, at least 3 bedrooms and no more than 2 bathrooms. The budget is up to 800,000. Okay, and then we will listen and capture user response. And I'm just gonna say into last utterance. So now let's continue down below. So I'm gonna pull this and say AI, set AI. I will call this Airtable query generator. If we go here to Airtable API and below authentication, we go here and retrieve a record. You can see that we have this base URL. This is what we pasted, so it's up to properties. But then we also need like either a record ID, or we need some other way of specifying the records, one or multiple, that we want to retrieve. So that's what we are building now with this AI. We are listening what user is saying, and then we are converting it to this. So in the query generator below, in the prompt, I'm gonna say user input, and then below I'm gonna say open curly brackets and say last utterance. This is where we saved the user input, if you remember here in capture reply. Then I'm gonna say apply to. I'm gonna say create new variable, Airtable underscore query. So this will be continuation on top of the base URL. So we have base URL, and then we're gonna say question mark and then Airtable query. Create, and then let's say prompt settings. So I'm gonna use 3.5 turbo. It's okay, it's good. I just wanna put the temperature back to 0 because we don't want any randomness. We need the exact formula, this to be extremely deterministic. So the system prompt, I'm gonna paste it like this. You can find this in the files, so you don't need to write this manually. Your task is convert user input blah blah blah. I will not read everything, but basically there are instructions on how to construct the query. So we're gonna use and keyword, and we're gonna wrap them in these brackets, and then we're gonna say city equals city name, state also state name, and then price range, and then we just described how to do all of this, and then some rules, examples. So this is what the query is going to look like. For example, bedroom 2 price less than, and that's it. So that's it. We can test this. So let me pull this here and say talk text, and I'm gonna just say here Airtable query. So let's see how it generates the query. So let me start. I can start from here, and then it's gonna give me all of this prompt, and I'm gonna say just I want a house in New York. Okay, let's say San Diego, California, like this. And the query, this is the query, this is the correct query. So and city San Diego State, California. That's it. Now let's delete this testing logging. So below the Airtable query, let's go here and say dev and API, and I'm gonna say this get request. So here we're gonna say Airtable base URL. We will continue this. So we will say question mark max records for, there is no new line here, it just automatically showing you, but there is no new line, there is no space. Just continue. Max records for must be this exact casing. So max records equals 4 and filter by formula equals and then Airtable query like this. So must be this exact or it will not work. You can copy this from the documents I sent in the video. Sorry, next to the video. So then I'm gonna add headers. And if we go back to the documentation, below this URL that we copied, we see this authorization header. So you see -h, that means header. Authorization is the key, and then bearer, and then your token. This is the value. So let's go back and I will show you where to put it. So enter parameter key authorization, and then let's copy this bearer, but we need to replace your secret API token with the API token that we generated. So the value will be bearer, and then one space, and then this token. So this is the header that we need to send. This is authorization header. And then let's continue down below. So I'm gonna say capture response, and we're gonna say response like this. Must be this exact word or it will not work. So this is the response that we will get from Airtable, and then we will apply this to create a new variable, Airtable underscore response, create variable. And then just in order to test this, to see what we got, let's go down below and say talk text, and I will say curly brackets Airtable response. So let's go from the beginning. We need to go from the beginning where it's going to set the Airtable base URL and stuff. And now let me just say, sorry, let's interrupt this testing, and we need to go here after Airtable URL generator. Let's delete this one, just click and press delete, and let's create text. And then I need to log base URL, so Airtable base URL, and I need to log below the query. So we need these two for easier testing. And then let's connect this to the just to the get block. So let's start from the beginning. And if I go to my property listings, I can see that I have one property in Houston, Texas. So let me just say here, Houston, Texas. It will understand. So this is what we need. We need these two. So here's what I'm gonna do. Since I cannot, you can manually write this. So end bracket city Houston. You need to manually write this because you need this for testing. So just write it manually here like this, and then city whatever. Or you can also press F12 on your keyboard, or go to right click and inspect element if you know how to do this, and click this part. Now you don't need to do this if you are manually writing, but I want to show you this way as well. And then select this, and you're gonna get this P here tag, and then double click this, and then just copy it. So you can also do it this way, or you can just write it manually. So you need that, and you also, this is the query. And let me close this now, and let's get this URL. You can just copy it from here, from the beginning. You don't need to copy it from here. So just copy this without quotes. So now that you have those two things, let's paste it here. We can go here to the get request, and you can manually test this always. Now you don't need to go from the beginning every time to test this URL. You can manually test it. So let's just say send request, and base URL will be this one that we copied, and then query will be the other one that we also got. So this end city, but make sure that your city is one that you have, like whatever you have it. If you don't have Houston, Texas, put another city here, and then generate. So now this is what we have. Okay, so it says there is no records for Houston, Texas, which is weird because we do have records for Houston, Texas. So let me see. So this says 200 means it's okay, but there is no records. And that's because I misspelled Houston. So if I go here, send request, I now fixed it. So this is the proper spelling of Houston, and then generate. Oh. And now these are all of the records for this Houston, Texas property that we are retrieving. But we don't need all of these fields. We just need a few fields. So let's just tell it which fields to retrieve. So let's go here, and I'm gonna rename this block to table API call, and I'm gonna click, doesn't matter the naming, but I'm gonna click here, here in parameters. So let's say fields, and then open close square brackets, and then let's first say city. So if I save this, you need to click somewhere else to save, and then let's send a request. It will only send city name, Houston, in the fields, and no other fields. Now let's add a bunch of these parameters. Click this a bunch of times. Okay, so let's copy these fields, and I'm gonna say state, I'm gonna say price, I'm gonna say URL, so this is the listing URL. I'm gonna say virtual tour URL. Then we will need bedrooms, bathrooms, photo URL, although we don't have this field, we need to create this field. And the last one, address, and then let's remove these others. So let's create this photo URL field. If I go to my Airtable, click somewhere here, press Ctrl F to search, I'm just gonna say photos. So this will find photos here, but there is a bunch of photo URLs. So let me scroll next to it, and I'm gonna use this field. I'm gonna rename it. I'm gonna change it completely because we don't need it. I'm gonna say photo URL, and this will be single line text. Save, convert. So now I'm gonna click. So for each property, I will show you here. Each property has a bunch of photo URLs. So this is huge. There is a bunch of photos, but we just need one. So let me actually, the best way to find the one is go to this URL link of that property. I'm gonna see all photos here, and I'm gonna choose the one that I want to show. So for example, I will choose this one, and I will right click and copy image address, go back to properties, and in my field, so must be that exact same row. So if for this URL same row, I'm gonna go to photo URL and paste this image. Okay, so let me do the same for my, so this is, well, you should do this for every single one. I think I'm gonna leave this database below so you can download it. You don't need to do it manually. So just download this CSV file. So just import this CSV file. But by the time you import this, maybe some houses could be also sold. So I'm not sure. You can check if a lot of houses are sold when you import this in the beginning here. It should say for sale. So now let's test this API call. So if I go here, send request. Now we have Houston, Texas, but since I just changed photo for the first one for now, let me use this. So that's gonna be Kila empty. So I'm gonna say Kila empty here and generate. So this is what we have. These are the fields that we need. Now after the success, we don't need this logging. If you have this logging after successful API call, we can delete that. And let's go down and say dev and JavaScript. And let's open this JavaScript, and just, you need to copy paste this. So there is 48 lines of code. I will explain this a little bit for you. You can find this in the files that you downloaded. So if you don't know how to code, don't worry. So let's okay, so I will say, so if you remember, we saved the response we got from Airtable into this variable, Airtable response. So if I go here, we see down below that the response is saved into Airtable response. And now all of these fields, photo URL, bathroom, we need to all save each of these fields into our variable in the Voiceflow. So right now they are not in Voiceflow, we just get these fields. Everything is saved into this Airtable response. So we need to extract each of these fields. So records, will be airtableResponse.records. So if you remember the structure of airtableResponse, it has, I think you don't need to understand all of this, so you can skip this part if you don't care. I'm gonna explain this, but if you can skip if it's overwhelming or you don't care. So if we go here to AirtableResponse back, if I send request, you see that we got this response and it has these records, and then it has this array of these. It has array of these records. So we have records, and then there is a bunch of records. So we get records. Inside we have fields, and then we can access the field through fields. So let's go here. So first we extract all records. Let's skip this part for now, and let's skip this part as well. So let me show this part. We go from 0 to length of records. So there can be maximum 4 records, because I said here that max records is 4. So it can have maximum 4 records. And for each record, we're gonna save price, city, state, bathrooms. We don't need description, so we can delete this. Address URL, photo URL, and virtual tour URL. So we need to save each of these. So what this syntax does is it will find our variable. So you see this price. Let me go here and create a new variable. So variables, new variable, we're gonna have price 0, create variable, price 1, and you need to create these variables, you cannot skip this, so price 2 as well. Okay, then we're gonna do the same for bedrooms. Bedrooms 0, bedrooms 1, bedrooms 2, bathrooms 0, bathrooms 1, bathrooms 2. Let's do this for address 0, address 1, address 2, URL 0, URL 1, so URL 2. So you see that we are creating 3 of each, so 2. Let's keep, so we're gonna, so if we have 3 listings, if we have 1 listings, we will save just that 1 listing URL to URL 0, bathrooms to bathroom 0, etc. If we have 2 listings retrieved, then we will save to URL 0 and URL 1. And if we have 3 listings retrieved, we're gonna save each URL into each URL variable, and then we will display those. So I said we were gonna have 4 listings maximum, but I will change that to 3 maximum because there is no need. If you want 4, you need to just make then 4 of everything. So price 0, price 1, price 2, price 3. And the reason I'm starting from 0 and not from 1 is because this is how we do it in programming. You start from 0. But you can start, I don't know, if it's confusing, you can maybe start price 1, price 2, price 3, price 4. For each listing, we need to have a variable. For each listing that we can possibly retrieve. Photo URL 1 or 0, we start from 0. Photo URL 1 now. And photo URL 2. Now we're gonna say virtual tour URL 0, virtual tour URL 1, virtual tour URL 2. And we just have 2 more, city 0, city 1, and city 2. And then state 0, this is the last one, state 1, and state 2. So we have all of the variables. Let's go back to workflow. So now in our JavaScript, I will explain. So however many records we have, it's gonna assign. So price, so this syntax price $i means like it's gonna be price 0, price 1, price 2, whatever, and we're gonna assign this. So let me change these maximum records to be 3 because we only have 3 variables, and let me go back to get and set maximum records to 3. If you want 4, you need to create more variables. Okay, so this is going to assign the fields that we retrieve from Airtable to variables. Okay, I want to show you add commas to price. So this function, if you see here in price, we are passing records I fields price through this function. So what this will do is price in our table is like this, but we want to just add commas so it's easier to see like this. So every third from the right. So this function will add commas every third from the right to the price, and this function will replace the YouTube URL that we have with embedding URL. So as you know, we have links to YouTube videos like this, but we cannot show this in our Voiceflow. We need to have this format. So instead of having youtube.be, we need to have this www.youtube.com/embed. So we need to replace this part, youtube.be, with this part. So that's what function will do. And as you can see, we are sending each virtual tour URL through this function. Now, if you are not using YouTube, if you are using iGuide, then you don't need this function. It's going to be a bit different. You don't need to convert. And number of found properties is record length, and we don't need this seller name at all. So that's it. If you find this confusing, you can message me, either email or my Discord. But I would suggest you do it in email because I check email more. I might also be making some coding courses for AAA real estate, so check those on my YouTube as well. So now that we assigned all of the variables, let me test. So if I start from here, I'm gonna say Houston, Texas, but I'm gonna send this when this is ready. So now, if I go here to the right, you see that we should be getting, so address, Airtable base URL, so bathrooms, bedrooms, everything is getting changed. These other variables are not getting changed because there is only one property in Houston, Texas, so we only have the first variables getting changed. So it works. Now let's stop this. So after the JavaScript file, I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna say logic condition label found 0 properties. If add condition, let's say variable, and then select variable, number, or just write number of properties or found properties just like this with underscores. It must be this exact way because you have this in the JavaScript file. So create this variable, create. If this is 0, enter. So then this condition will fire. Okay, let's add condition, but with this button. So found 1 property, and I'm gonna say add condition variable, and then number of found properties is 1, enter. And then let's also say for 2 properties. You can also say for 3 because we have 3 as well, but let me just now say for 2. So found 2 properties, and I'm gonna add a condition variable. This number of found properties is 2, enter. So So that's it. We have these 3 conditions. You can also add for 3 if you want. So if 0 properties is found, I'm gonna add here talk no properties found, and that's it. And now I can transition. So let me go here in the beginning. I'm gonna rename this block to let's just say starting block, and I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna say actions, go to block, starting block, home. I can say starting block. That's it. Okay, and then if there is 1 property found, I'm gonna go to here, I'm gonna say talk carousel, and the link we're gonna say photo URL 0, and then card title we're gonna have $. I'm gonna set price, so I'm just gonna put this into title. So price, I'm gonna make some space, city 0, comma, state 0. So I'm just gonna put this into title. I'm not gonna put anything here. And let's make some buttons. The first button will be watch 3D house tour video. If you are using iGuide virtual environment, then you can just say something like launch or see view 3D environment, and then add. So we will skip the action for now. Let's add another button. I'm gonna say view on Google Maps, save, go back. Button below, I'm gonna say view property on Zillow.com. So I'm gonna say actions, open URL, enter URL, it's gonna be URL 0, like this. Go back. So this URL 0 will be the URL of this property. And add another button, search other properties, action. So I need to press F11 to maximize this because I don't see. And then go to block, home, and starting block. And that's it. So if we want to watch 3D tour video, let me go here, actions, set variable, variables to set. We're gonna say virtual underscore tour underscore URL. We need to create this variable. So let's create this variable, and we will set this variable to virtual set to, I need to open curly brackets and then say virtual tour URL 0. So we're gonna have this virtual tour URL variable for everything. So whenever we are sending a video, we will convert any of the links. We're gonna just set any of the links of our properties to this variable, so it's easy for us to always have everything in the same variable whenever we are sending a new property. We don't need to create different code block for each property. We just convert everything to this same variable. So if you don't understand, it's gonna be simpler when I do this further. So let's create another here, talk text. Let's go to any YouTube video and right click and copy embed code. You can find this below as well, but let's do it like this, and then paste it here. But this width we're gonna replace to be 100%, and height will be 100%. And then this source URL, we will delete this because you can never put these URLs into these like talk files. talk nodes because it's gonna mess. It's not gonna work for some reason. So we need to remove this, and this URL we're gonna remove also the quotes, and we will put the variable here. So the variable will be our URL. So I'm just gonna say URL. I'm gonna find virtual tour URL. So this is the variable, and make sure to fix this title, whatever. I think we don't need this title at all, like that. So now, whenever you are using iframe, you always sort. You never put a link directly linked to this source. You put link first into the variable, because it will not work for some reason on Voiceflow. So we are already setting the variable here, but if you are not setting the variable here, then above this you can say logic set variable like this, and then set the variable here to the URL. So create a variable and set it to the URL, and then use that variable here in iframe. But we don't need this because we are setting the variable here. So let's test this. It should work. So let me go from the beginning, start. I'm gonna prepare Houston, or this is Kila, Montana. I'm just gonna send it. So let's see how everything works. It should all work. We're gonna delete this logging. It will not be this ugly. Okay, so the photo is not showing for some reason. I think we messed this up a little bit, but we can fix it. If I say view property on Zillow.com, so let me exit full screen and view property on Zillow, it will open Zillow property. Exactly, okay, this works. If I also say watch 3D house tour, it should send me the video, and it's gonna load a little bit. That's okay. So I don't see anything here, so let's fix this. Here on the side we can see that virtual tour URL is 0, and virtual tour URL 0 is also 0, which it should not be. So I think we made a mistake somewhere. Virtual tour URL, did we spell this correctly? Okay, so let me check the JavaScript file. So because if I go here, let me check if everything is correct. You see here we have a different spelling. So let me say virtual tour URL like this. So now let me save it, and let me test once again. It's virtual tour, not virtual URL. So virtual tour URL like this. This is good to show you because I'm coding for 10 years and I still can't spell. So just make sure that you don't also make mistakes when spelling. So let me test this. I already ran the test. If I go down here, virtual tour URL is getting changed, and then this one will get changed as well, which it didn't. Okay, so I think, well, if I go here, the 3D house video, this will not work because, oh wait, it is here. Okay, it works. So now we have video. Okay, so yeah, it was changed after I clicked it. So watch 3D house video, it was changed. Now let's fix this photo. You see that it's not showing photos. So we have this photo URL 0. This is 0, but it should be actual photo URL. So let's go back, click this JavaScript. Let's see what's happening. Let me expand. Photo URL. You see it's photo underscore URL. The name, the way I named it here. So let's just photo URL like this, but make sure it's only one L, not double L. And that's it. So this should be fixed. And now you can see that we got this photo showing that we chose. So I think the last thing that we have is, the last thing remaining is view on Google Maps. And don't worry, again, we will delete all of this ugly stuff in production. This will not be showing. First go to Google Cloud APIs, search for that, and then click here API library, or I can also click here Google Cloud APIs, and then we will go to View API Manager, and we need to find library here as well. So library here. Then we need this Places API, but we need the Places new one. So I'm gonna just search for Places here and click this Places API new. And then you need to click here Enable. Now you need to enable this API. And then go down below and just click Documentation here. Then we will scroll below to the side here, Use Places API, and go to Text Search. So we need to find this text search. You can find it if it's not here. You can need to find it somehow. And then Web Service. And so what we can do here is just put in text address like this, and this will return the actual place on the Google map that we can show. So let me copy this for later. I'm gonna save it here. This is just for testing that we can use this. Now I think that one actually okay, and then let's go below. So we need to now make API call to here. So let's go back to our Voiceflow. Let me go to the side here. So view on Google Maps, but we will make an API call separately here for now. So I need to back to exit from this, and then dev API. Let's follow the documentation. So it must be post request. So let's go back and change this get request to be post. And then let's copy this URL. You can just click here and paste it here. Okay. And then we have some headers. So we have these headers, these two. So this is one header, second header, and then third header. So the first header is going to be content type for key. So let's copy this content type, make a new header, the enter parameter key content type without these columns, and then application JSON as value. Application JSON. Let's make another two headers. The second one, we're going to have X Google API key. And now we need to get our API key. So scroll a bit up. Here on the side we have use API keys. Let's click that. Scroll down. Go to credentials page. Let's create a new project. Voiceflow real estate. Create. And let's copy this API key. Now don't worry, I will be deleting all of my API keys when I finish. So let's go back. API key here. Now I'm not sure if you have this enable all Google Maps APIs for this project or not. So if you don't have this and you are not able to like figure this out, then you just message me below, but I think you will be able. Okay, now let's go to Google Maps platform. So let's actually cut this API key here, and I'm gonna put a variable here, maps API key. I'm gonna create this variable. So I'm gonna put this into a variable instead of like this. So let's go back to the beginning here, and then we're gonna add a new logic set, and we will set, or actually I think in this one we can just set below the maps API key, and we need to make a string. Let me copy this if it doesn't save. Yeah, it doesn't save because we need to do it 2 times. So now let me just paste it. It must be in these quotes, your API key, and then it should save. It says value is required as if I don't have the value. So yeah, I don't know, there is some bugs. Let me delete this one, we don't need this one. So we have those two. This should be connected to this block. If it calls you to, if it asks you to protect your API key to restrict other like I'm gonna do it maybe later, but you can restrict your API key so it can only be used from certain websites. So if somebody steals it, etc. Now let's go back to the documentation. So where you said use API key, let's scroll below, places API new, this one, and let me go to text search again. As you remember, let's scroll down. We have a third header. So the third header is this field mask. So let me copy this, go back to Voiceflow. So the third header is field mask without columns. And then let's just copy all of this. So you can either copy this field mask. So if you put star, it's going to return all of the fields that this API provides. But we don't need all of the fields. I think we just need two, but let's for now return these fields. So display name, address, and price level. So let's just return these fields. And so that's it. The only thing we need to do is, let me quickly go this way and copy my API key. And I think I will copy it with these quotes. So let's go back, and now we need that API key. Let's go here and send a request. It's gonna ask us for the API key and then generate the request. Okay, so API key not valid. I think this is because we need to do it without quotes. So let's delete quotes like that. Generate places new has not been used in this project. Okay, so we need to enable it. So let me copy this URL. Let me copy it. We need to enable. So as you remember, I made a new project. Yeah, I need to enable this. And then it should be enabled soon. So now that it's enabled, let's send request again. Empty text query. Okay, yeah, I forgot. So we need to now go here to body. Open this body, so and then go to raw. And let's go back here, scroll down to the documentation. We need to scroll down. Actually, no, go back up. Here where you have these headers, we need to copy these curly brackets. So everything in curly brackets for this. So let's go here, paste it like this. So you have curly brackets, text body like this. And then if I go here and send request, again it says it's disabled for some reason. Oh no, it was good. It was just a bug. So let me try again. It's going to work. So we have display name, price level, and formatted address, the fields that we chose, and we have all of this data. So these are the fields. Okay, so here's what we will do. In the post request, we don't need any of the fields here. Google field mask. We just need places.id. And then here in the raw, I'm gonna delete all of this. Actually, let's not delete that. Let's leave it like this for now. And then scroll down to capture response, and then say plus. And I'm gonna say response.places, and then square brackets 0, and then .id must be this exact thing, and we will save that to place_id. So let's create this variable place_id, and that's it. If I run this, we can see that we only get this place ID, and that's all we need to display it on the map. So for each of these we get place ID, but for our houses we will only have one, because there will be only one house, one address, one. Let's go to this places API, and here in the raw body, let's go to the right, put comma, go below, open quotes. Page size must be this exact format, so page S is capital. Column 1, so we will only retrieve one answer. So let's say send request, there is only one ID, no more, because the house that we are searching for, there is only one, so there is no need to return anything more. Now let's Google Maps embed map and embed Maps embed API overview. And so we're gonna need this iframe. So let's copy this. We will say success. After this successful API call, we will say talk text. We will send now the iframe, so this will show the map, but we need to make some changes. So we will, in source, we will delete all of this, and we're gonna say maps address like this, and then let's double click this, or just click it and create a variable. Actually, let me rename this to maps URL. Create variable. And then we need to set this variable above. So in the logic set, let's put this above. Now here, let's delete this connection and put this to the block. And so here we're gonna set variable maps URL, and here let's go to our maps embeddings and let's copy this URL. So let's paste it here. Now we need to do some things. So here where it says API key, we need to delete this and make curly brackets maps API key. So this must be the exact name of your maps API key in the so let's go to your here, and then if I start typing here if I start typing curly brackets maps API key, it must be this exact name. And then here place question mark. Okay, so yeah, that should be place key maps. I think this should work. So if I copy all of this, I delete this, so maps URL set to this, and save. But I think it should be under quotes. And so this is bugged, so I need to do it again. Yeah, now it works, I think. And so let me just go this iframe. I'm gonna change this to 100%, and then let me just run this. So it says provided API key is invalid. I think that's because I didn't even set maps API key. Let me go here to the beginning where I have maps API key. Let me copy this API key. Let me actually put it here manually. So in the URL, I'm just gonna, let's go again. I'm gonna go here and delete this, and I'm gonna place this API key manually like this. Let me copy this. Let me see if it changed. I think it didn't, so we need to do it again. Now it changed. Okay, let me try again. Okay, now we can see the embedding works. So the Google Maps embedding works. We can also click here, view larger map, and it will open a large map for this area. Now let's connect this to our actual bot. So here where it says view on Google Maps, I'm gonna go here, view on Google Maps, actions, set variable, variables to set. So do we have maps URL? No, sorry. Map underscore address. So we will create this new variable because this will just be the plain text address for this house. So we will go here So we will set map address to address 0. But we need to make curly brackets address 0 like this. Okay. And then let's create here AI set AI. In the air table we have this weird type of address. There is curly brackets. So we need to convert this to actual. We need to remove curly brackets and quotes. Because if we have curly brackets in the voice flow, it will like replace it as a variable or do something weird. So we need to convert this to actual like address without curly brackets. So here in set AI, I'm gonna say just convert address as the name, and then prompt map address. So this is that we will get, and we will apply this to map address. So we're just gonna convert. We're gonna keep it in the same variable. We're just gonna remove the quotes and curly brackets. So prompt settings. The system prompt I will paste. Return address without brackets and quotes, just city names, state names. So, and then I give it example. So this is what we need to convert this type of address into this type of address. So that's it. I think we can set temperature at like 0. So preview. If I go to my property listings, I copy this. I send this, generate. This is what we get. So that's what we need. Now below this convert address, let's add this post to API. So this Google API post, the search text. And then let's go down in this row. Instead of giving it hard-coded address, I'm gonna delete this, put curly brackets in quotes, and say map underscore address. So it must be the same name as this map address. So now that we configure this post request, let's go here to set maps URL, and let's copy this URL, and we need to change this. So let's delete everything up until key equals. So we have key equals. This is important. Now you need to close quotes. So the same quotes that you opened here, you need to close here. Plus, in curly brackets, maps underscore API underscore key. But actually for us is a bit different. For us is maps API key like this. And then say plus, open brackets, open quotes again. Very important. And say this exact syntax. So end q equals place ID, and then this like semi or this column, and then close quotes plus place underscore ID in curly brackets. So it must be this exact syntax or it will not work. Only one letter, one quote, one thing missed, it will not work. You can copy paste this from the files you downloaded with this video. So let's go back and then set maps URL. I'm gonna delete all of this and then set it to this URL. Now we don't have place ID, so let's add place ID variable like this. Let's go here again. I need to paste it again because it sometimes doesn't work. So now it's saved. Now it works. So I think, well, this should work. And we made a bit of a mistake here in the Google APIs. When we are calling the API, here we are applying to price ID, not price ID, but place ID. So let's say place ID like this. And that should be it. So now we can test this. If I start from the beginning, I say Kila, Montana. So now let's see if it works. If I say view on Google Maps, and it works. Let's go. This works. So if I say view larger map, just to check if it's correct, you see we have Jackson Meadows. This is the zip code. and we have this exact 305 Jackson Meadows. So that's it. If you want to be able to return like if multiple properties, so found 2 properties, found 3 properties below, you just copy paste this block and paste it here, and now you connect found 2 properties to this block, and then click this block, and here you have you need to say add card, and then just so the same way you have this card, you will just add these buttons again here, copy this. Now you're gonna have 2 cards, but you will use price 1, city 1, state 1, and you will just use the other variables. So that's it. Here where it says where it shows the property, you can maybe add action to go back to property search, or maybe you can add some other action to go somewhere else. So you just go here, actions, go to block, and then you can say, you can choose, for example, go home at the starting block. So starting block here. Then you can publish this. The version name is just real estate chatbot publish, and you can click embed widget. It's gonna show you how to embed this to your page, so you need to just copy this above the body tag. So I can also show you how to do this. Let me copy this and let me go to just some example site, W3 schools, whatever. I will just go here to example site. So you have this, let me click try yourself. You have this body tag, and just before ending the second body tag, you embed this and then run. And you get the Voiceflow chatbot here. So now it's a bit stretched because this UI is stretched, but it will not be stretched. And if I say, now yeah, so we just need to kind of fix it a little bit. Now I just pressed 3D house and it ended the chat immediately. So what you want to do is maybe after you go here, you go back to the beginning or something. So you can go here again, and then actions, go to block, home, starting block. Make sure to press publish again, and let's also go real quick here, new block 6. Before Airtable API call, let's remove these logs because they don't do anything, and that's it. Publish. So here we have this AI real estate chatbot that lets you say, I would like to buy a house in Kila, Montana with 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom and below 700,000 USD, and it will find a property that that's listed, and then we can say, am I